Hello, listeners. Welcome to Sailing the East podcast. I'm your host for today, Bela. This podcast is about sailing the east coast of the United States. Some episodes are about destinations, some episodes will be about passages, other episodes will be about equipment and techniques, and every once in a while, when we come across an interesting individual, we'll interview them and have them on the show. Now, today's episode is going to be very different than the previous ones we've done. I'm going to be solo. My co-host Mike was not here. And this will be a recording I made when I went down to my boat to kind of wake it up from its winter hibernation and to do some of the things in its final prep before being put into the water. So I recorded some of the sounds and sights, if you will, while I was there. And so it's a little bit different, and it'll give you sort of an idea of some of the things that I did to get the boat ready. To put it into its full season as me as the owner of it. So I hope you enjoy the show. And as always, if you like the show, hit that subscribe or follow button on your favorite podcasting app. And also give us a review and tell your friends. Now, let's get into some of the sounds and things that I saw and did going down to the boat.
Hi, folks. Well, I'm in the car on my way to the marina, actually about a half mile away, getting pretty close. It is a kind of a dismal day here, actually. It's, cloudy. We had a lot of rain and snow yesterday, believe it or not. Last time I was here, it was beautiful, sunny, warm in the 60s, and, well, it's April in New England, I guess. And it's actually right now 42 degrees, kind of on the chilly side. But I got some work to do on the boat, and it's a good day to do it. And I haven't been to the marina now in 2 weeks. And so I'm interested to see what things look like, given last time I was here was a beehive of activity. And, of course, the lot where all the boats are stored at the marina, which is in the summertime a big parking lot, big asphalt parking lot, is now a parking lot for sailboats, mostly sailboats, a fair number of power boats as well. And it was pretty full last time, so I'm interested to see how many boats they have in the water. So I'm actually turning into the marina right now, and still see a lot of boats. So that's pretty good, I guess. Not too many boats in the water. There's a couple boats missing from last time. A lot of boats still covered, still have the shrink wrap on them. And not a lot of cars here yet. It's pretty early in the morning. It's before 9 a.m. Came out and stayed at our son's house last night. And so he lives pretty close to the marina. And pulling up to where my boat is right now, and none of the boats have been moved from this section of the marina. So it is sort of like a jigsaw puzzle to get them out of here. And so there's a certain order that you have to do things in, because that's the way the puzzle comes apart. So things are looking good, actually. And let me park the car without hitting anything. I hate to knock over one of these big boats. And we're going to go take a look at how the bottom job looks, because they painted the bottom since the last time I was here. So I'm excited to see how that came out. And then I got to hook the batteries up and do a bunch of other things on the boat. And I'll keep you posted as the day progresses. So see you in a little bit.
Well, I just got out of the car and I'm walking over to Paradox. And this boatyard is interesting. It's for the winter, it's a huge parking lot. And in that parking lot, there's boats of all sizes and shapes. They're all up on jack stands. There's catamarans, there's big power boats and trawlers. There's sailboats, both small and large. And it's hard for me to guess, but there's got to be 75 to 100 boats here in this big parking lot. And as you can imagine, it's sort of like a jigsaw puzzle or a Tetris game to get them all in here, because they sort of have to fit them in because they're trying to maximize the number of boats they can store here. Because if they do that, each boat pays $2,000 or $3,000 to stay here for the winter, depending upon the size of the boat. Actually, they charge you by the square footage that you take up. So that's how they do it. And so they fit them all in here. So they sort of ask you in the fall when you'd like to get pulled out, and then when you'd like to go back in the spring. And of course, if you're the first one out, you tend to be put in the back part of the parking lot, which means it may take a while for them to get to you in the springtime when they go to pull you out of the parking lot and put you down into the water. So we asked for a last week in April launch, and seeing what boats have been moved already, I think we should be able to do that. Last time I was here, which was a couple weeks ago when we uncovered the boat and I did a few things on it. It's 2 weeks later now, and a fair number of boats are in the water, and I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get our boat in the water. All right. Now I'm actually here at the boat. One of the things that I had the yard do was paint the hull. I've never painted a hull of a boat before. The previous sailboat I had was in fresh water, and I would once or twice a year, I'd scrub the bottom with a brush, and that took care of it. The water was cold and the season was short. We were only in the water maybe 4 or 5 months at the most. But here in the salt water, it's a little warmer, and you got to put some protective paint on the bottom to kind of keep the barnacles and the algae and all those types of nasty things from growing on your hull. So typically you have to paint boats every year, maybe every other year. Some of it depends on where you use it, how you use it, the type of water it's in, etc. And so when I pulled the boat out in the fall, I said, well, we're going to put a fresh coat of paint on it. And what you really have to do when you're painting is the first thing I do is sort of sand off, not all of the previous paint, but at least you want to sand it to sort of rough it up, get the dirt off of it, get anything that has grown on it, etc. Make sure it's off, and you kind of have a smooth surface. Not smooth like a finished surface, because you're sanding it with, I think they use 80 grit sandpaper is what most folks recommend. So you're roughing it up, but at the same time removing sort of a layer of paint so you don't get too much buildup. And so they did that. That's a real messy job. I don't want to do that because, there's nasty stuff in this paint. It has like copper in it, so that stuff doesn't grow. That's how they kind of prevent stuff from growing on it. And when you're sanding that, the copper dust is not great for your lungs, and you're supposed to wear a full body suit with a respirator, etc. So I don't want doing that. And I know they sanded my boat. I think it was like $500. It's a 45-foot boat. So that was something that was, I think, money well spent. So the last time I was here 2 weeks ago, the hull had been sanded, and they did a nice job on that. And now the hull's been painted. And so what I ended up using was Seahawk brand of paint, and I used what's called Monterey, which is a solvent-free, meaning it's a water-based paint. So it's a little better for the environment. There's no VOCs or solvents kind of evaporating from the paint when you're painting it. That's that stuff that makes you dizzy and certainly isn't good for the environment. So I decided to go with Monterey, which is one of their solvent-free water-based paints. It also makes cleaning up a heck of a lot easier. And the bottom paint came out really nice. I sort of like the way it looks walking around the boat here. They did a very nice job. And, I did spend a fair amount of time looking at different brands of paint, and there's at least a dozen different brands of bottom paint for boats, and they all talk about this, that, or the other thing. And I just ended up going with Seahawk. I have a good friend of mine who works for Seahawk, and he's a big fan of their paints. He says they've had very good results. So sort of getting that level of recommendation from someone you trust and know goes a long way. And boy, this stuff's expensive. It's about $150 $140 a gallon and takes about 2.5 gallons to paint the bottom. So it's a pricey endeavor. I think next year my plan is that I will paint the bottom. I'll have them sand it and prep it, but I will do it. It appears that it's a relatively easy thing to do, and it looks like they did a sort of a nice job. On the hull, it's pretty smooth. Looks quite nice. So that's good. Now I'm gonna hop up into the boat and see how things look topsides, as it's been sitting out here now uncovered for 2 weeks. See how much bird droppings are on the boat. Let's take a look. I'm setting up my ladder now because I need a ladder to get up into the boat. It's pretty tall. I bought one of these folding ladders because I need a good ladder that's 10 feet or so tall, step ladder, and that doesn't fit in my car. So I bought one of those it's a gorilla ladder is the one I bought actually, and I've been quite pleased with it. It fits in the car really nice, so it's easy to transport, and I keep it at home, but when I come out to the boat I just throw it in the car, and it makes me be able to get up into the boat easy. And it's one of those ladders that can either be like a step ladder, or you can unfold it completely, and it's sort of like a extension ladder. So it seems to be quite nice, and I'm pleased with it. So let's go up the boat. Okay, let's get up in here. All right. Yeah, all right. Things look good. Cockpit looks good. Nothing going on here. Let's get the companionway unlocked. Get my key out here. And slide that back. All right. Get down into the boat. And let's see what's going on down inside the cabin. All right. Everything looks good. Okay. So, first project is to actually have to go back to the car, and I have to put on my prop shaft rope cutter. That's the first project for today. So I'm going to walk out to the car and get set up, and then I'll see you when I got that done and getting ready to install it. All right, I'm back. So I'm installing a shaft shark prop shaft rope cutter. We talked about this in a previous episode, Mike and I kind of went through why I picked the shark shaft and why I thought it was good for the things that I'm doing. And it goes on pretty easy. It bolts on just in front of the prop, and there's two socket head Allen key type screws, stainless steel, that kind of hold the two halves together, and it clamps around the shaft. So that's really easy to put on and off. I don't have to remove the prop. And we're going to get that installed right now. Let me get some of my tools, and I think we're going to get that done. So let me finish that, and then I'll be back. All right, that went better than I expected. Nice and easy. This shaft shark looks really nice. Boy, the edges on it are really sharp. I had to wear gloves when I was handling it because I was worried I was going to cut my hands. It's really impressive how sharp it is. So it should cut any ropes or nets or anything that get tangled around my propeller, and hopefully make us not be disabled in the water with a propeller that can't spin. So that went well. Very impressed with the product so far, and I have an 1.25 inch diameter shaft, and the shaft shark comes in various different sizes intended for different prop shaft diameters, and it also comes in various different outside diameters for depending upon how big sort of a propeller you have. And so there's kind of two size parameters that you can play with. So far I'm impressed. Let's see how it works. I'll report back at the end of the season when we pull the boat out and see if what's wrapped around the propeller or if there's any remnants of ropes or nets or anything that the shaft shark has taken care of. All right, that was good. Well, here we are at the boatyard, taking the old names of the boat off and putting the new name on. So there's a name on each side of the boat, starboard and port side. The old name was Magic's Ride. The boat was previously owned actually by a Marine helicopter pilot, and his name or code name or whatever was Majic. So he named his boat Magic's Ride. So here I am trying to take off the vinyl letters on Magic's Ride and then installing the new letters and the new name, which will be called Paradox. So that's what's going on right now. So it's going well, a bit tedious. You got to use a heat gun to sort of soften up the letters and peel them off because they've been on the boat probably 10 years or so. A little less than 10 years. So the letters are made out of vinyl, an adhesive vinyl that sticks on. So having spent the last good hour and a half peeling the old names off, which is both the name of the boat and the port of call, we are now ready to start applying the new names. And I've watched a whole pile of YouTube videos to sort of figure out how to do this, having never done it before. So I think I got a plan, and we're going to do the port side first and up the ladder, lay things out. I'm using a little pencil to sort of mark on the hull where the corners of things are and measuring to hopefully make sure that it's level. And we'll do the port side, then we'll do the starboard side, and then we'll do the name across the not the name, but the port of call across the stern. And the port of call will be Barrington, Rhode Island. So this is a U.S. Coast Guard registered or documented boat, and so you have to have this information on the boat in a prominent place, including the port of call. So I'll get back to you hopefully, and not too long. Hopefully this goes faster than removing the old name, and let you know how it went. Well, back here, we got the names on. My son Andy came over and he gave me a hand laying these things out and putting the names on. So it went very well. It's amazing what YouTube can help you figure out and do. And so it just worked out quite well. So quite pleased with how it looks. Simple black letters in sort of a script font. Nothing fancy, no fancy color combinations or any of that. Just pretty simple black letters all around. So that went well. I'm pleased with it. And now on to our next task. Okay, I'm back up inside the boat now. And the next thing I need to do is I need to hook the batteries up. So for the winter, I disconnect all the batteries. I disconnect all the cables from them. If you remember last time, I don't know if I talked about this or not, but when I came out 2 weeks ago, I brought a couple of chargers with me, battery chargers, and I hooked those up and I topped all the batteries off because they had been sitting for 3.5, 4 months. And they all looked in pretty good shape. I topped up the water. I have plain, simple lead acid batteries. I've thought about, doing the lithium thing or doing some of the other fancier batteries. But for the way we use the boat, it just doesn't make sense to me to make that big investment. Lithiums are really expensive. And I don't know, these lead acid batteries seem to last. I think if you take good care of them, you should be able to get 5 years out of them. And as long as you charge them properly, you don't discharge them too much. So that's what I have. That's what I'm sticking with. So I gave them a nice topping charge last time I was out. I just measured them with the voltmeter. They all seem to be holding a charge nice, so that's good. They've been sitting here 2 weeks with just, discharging disconnected to anything. So that looks good. All the voltages were above 12 volts. That was encouraging. And so I just got to connect a couple of battery cables and get things connected back up. So let me go ahead and do that. Whoops, that one rolled off the table there. And I'll come back to you when that's done. The reason you have to do this is before they put the boat in the water, they want to make sure all your batteries are hooked up so that your bilge pump works. Right? Bilge pump is a pump that sits in the lowest part of the boat, and if there's any water that comes into the boat, it pumps it out so the boat doesn't sink. So they don't want to put a boat in the water and the batteries are not hooked up, and then the bilge pump won't work. So this is it makes a lot of sense, and I'm motivated to do it as well. And so that's why I'm going to hook these up, because hopefully next week the boat's going in the water, next week or the week after, depending upon how the Tetris puzzle gets deconstructed. So yeah, that's why I got to get these batteries hooked up before it goes in the water. All right, so that's all done. Batteries hooked up. That went well. I did check the bilge pump, and that's working. So that's all good. And let's see, I got my list here of other things I have to do before I get the boat in the water. The big job is I need to wax the hull. And that's I'm going to do that tomorrow is the plan. It's kind of drizzly, not quite drizzly today, but it's not very nice. And some clouds have rolled in, and it's not great weather right now. So I think tomorrow I'm going to do that, and maybe with a little help from my son, which would be nice, because that'll be a big job. Let's see, what else do I need to do inside here? I got to get my dock lines and fenders ready. I have the water distribution system. In other words, the water for the sinks and the toilets and the showers. This boat has 3 water tanks on it. So I carry about 160 or 170 gallons of water total, spread out over 3 different tanks. And those tanks feed into a manifold, so I can switch from tank 1 to tank 2 to tank 3. So I can drain down tanks in various different rates or orders. Or I can have them all turned on. It's just kind of depends how I want to do it. And I noticed last year when I got the boat, there was always water in the bilge, and it was like, this is weird. And one of the things that you do when you find water, one of the secrets is when there's water coming into your boat, or you find water in your boat, stick your finger in it and you taste it. If it's salty water, then you know it's coming from the outside. If it's fresh water, then you know you have a leak someplace. And lo and behold, it was fresh water. So I knew I had something leaking. And it turns out this distribution manifold that distributes the water, it's a little block of plastic with 3 pipes coming into it and 1 pipe going out of it, and a way to switch each one of those off, so which one's going through the exit pipe. And it was cracked. Maybe one year when the boat got winterized, I don't know, maybe it froze and it cracked, or maybe just from age. I'm not sure. But it had a slow drip on it. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. So over the winter, I ordered a new one of those. And I got to install that here today. So that's my next project. So let's dive into that and see how she goes. I'll get back to you when that's done. All right. That went well. Water system hooked back up. That all seems to be working. I didn't see any drips or anything coming out. Of course, I still need to drain all of the antifreeze out of the tanks. I think I put a gallon of, after draining the tanks in the fall, I put about a gallon of marine antifreeze in each tank. And, of course, flushed out all the lines with antifreeze, so none of that. You got to get all the water out, otherwise your pipes will crack and break. And you'll have leaks all over the place. So I did all of that in the fall, and so I still need to flush the system, but I will wait till the boat's in the water to do that. But I got this manifold, distribution manifold, taken care of, and that went well. Well, here we are at the boat, and I've been waxing for about 2 hours, and I'm still got multiple hours to go. And what I've been doing is there's probably a 6-inch wide stripe along close to the water line. So there's the water line, the hull is painted with anti-fouling paint. And then above that there's about 3-inch white line, and then above that there's like a 6-inch dark blue kind of accent line. And that's reachable from the ground, standing on it. And because it's dark blue, it sort of tends to fade a little bit and you get a weathered look. So what I've been doing with that is using a combination compound and wax together with the buffer wheel to sort of get that looking better. And then the white hull, which is above that, I have a polymer wax that I use. That's much easier to do. So this has been kind of tedious, doing this from the ground and holding my arms up over my head, and my arms are starting to get pretty sore. But I got one side done, and I'm diving into the starboard side now, and I'll dab a little wax/compound onto the buffing wheel, and then away we go. And so I think I'm going to stop the podcast here, and maybe I'll make a part 2 of this for first day I'm on the boat when it's in the water, talk about some of the things I'm doing there. But I will cut it short, right? Not short, but I'll end it right here. So thanks a lot for listening to Sailing the East podcast. Really appreciate it. Let me know if you like this format of show. It's a little bit different than typically Mike and I talking about a particular topic. Decided to do one this way, and see how you guys like it. And if you like it, or drop me an email. And if you don't like it, well, drop me an email as well. I like to mix things up, try new things, and see how they work. So our email address is sailingtheeast, all one word, @gmail.com. And again, if you like the show, hit that subscribe or follow button in your favorite podcasting app. Drop us an email. We always love hearing from our listeners. If you want to support the show, if you look in the show notes for this podcast, there's actually a link there that you can click on within Anchor. Anchor's the sponsor for this podcast. And there's a way to contribute per month a certain amount of money. I think the smallest amount is 99 cents a month. So if you like that, it's great. We appreciate that. But no, not really asking you to do that. But if you want to, out of the goodness of your heart, that's great. Helps defray some of the costs of making this and putting it together. So thanks again for listening. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.